Hello everyone and welcome. Make a cup of your favorite drink and get comfortable because this is a wonderful time for new stories from Yellow Cat. Send your own stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet, and let's get started. Reddit. Have you ever fired someone and had them go completely crazy? Part 3. At the time, I was a shipping and receiving manager at a store. Our lead cashier was utterly insensitive and lacking in taste. She sent her condolences in a special way upon the death of my grandfather. Her. You heard? Do you require a hug? Me. Not at all. Her. Is a Kleenex needed? Me. Not at all. Her. Well, there are one or two things you can be happy about, right? Me. In what way? Her. Since you mentioned that you enjoy baking and cooking when you're sad, perhaps you could make me some cookies at last. Oatmeal raisins with pecans is my favorite. She was that way. I don't know how I didn't deck her. Played the victim very much, hit on any man, and was teaching her daughter to be trashy as well. For the story, we'll refer to her as S. Sue. One day, as I'm laying out a few pallets on the ground, this guy approaches the counter and ducks beneath the ropes that are there to keep customers out while we reset it. No luck when I try to stop him. A little while later, the assistant store manager comes down and says, I'm running registers while they talk to Sue. I'm meeting with the store manager. Sure, I reply, looking up. I don't think much of it. We're about to enter a massive rush/madhouse season, so I'm assuming that Sue was brought back as lead cashier to strategize how to manage the sales floor and such. I worked a split shift and left for a few hours, intending to return to train some people on a recently launched new program. When I return, the store manager and one of our staff members are in the break room. I go get the keys to unlock the office, which is where the supplies I need are kept. While you're here, I need to inform you. Sue is no longer employed as of this morning, she says to the other employee and me. What the holy S? Well, when Bill was here, continues the store manager. Whoa, Bill? Hold up the phone. Bill is in charge of the entire LP division within the company. From the home office, he flew down more than 2,000 miles for this? Apparently he did indeed. See, it looks like S. Sue was stealing. She was not merely pilfering, but also taking away some serious cash. This was entirely overlooked by our other store manager, who is a different story altogether. However, the assistant store manager and the store manager noticed a problem. See, as head cashier, Sue would handle cash refunds. She would return an item, usually one that cost a lot of money, along with some lesser quality items, mark it as a cash return, sign the slip using false information, and keep the money for herself. This was something she did on a daily basis. When her was scheduled to work, LP set up a sting with cameras aimed directly at her till. She picked it because it was always next to a corner wall and out of sight from the rest of the store. She was called into the office when she repeated the act while she believed no one was watching. She apparently started crying, wrote a confession, and babbled that she was so very sorry and that this would never happen again. Bill assures her that it won't happen. We will not have you work for this company ever again, and we will take legal action. Sue bellows, You mean I'm getting fired for this? With her mouth hanging open. She had successfully negotiated a plea deal that resulted in 3 counts of Class 3 felony theft, 1 count for each month that the evidence was discovered. Sue objected, saying that she had only started a month ago, but the store manager pointed out that she had stopped looking after going 3 months ago because it made her sick. SM shot Sue a cold look and said, Between you and me, we both know you had a very Merry Christmas a couple months ago. She was astounded to learn she was being let go. Why, then, did the store manager feel the need to provide me with every detail? Sue tried to conceal this for months after it happened. She starts by phoning repeatedly and requesting the store manager. She begins emailing and calling the store manager's cell phone when we refuse to patch her through. See, Sue had the choice to turn herself in or face arrest. She opted to do so. Rather, she left and proceeded to file for unemployment benefits. Then, before we started to just ignore her calls and hang up on her, she called the store manager and gave her this whole "woe is me, you told me I could get unemployment benefits, but I was denied. Why did you lie to me?" heartbreaking tale. Naturally, the store manager said nothing of the kind, asking, "What is this chick smoking?" She then informs the store manager that she intends to attempt to enroll in college because, well, she needs to find work to support herself after being fired. Did you realize, though, that this would count as a felony against her record? That's why she needs the charges against her dropped. Furthermore, she insisted that she never stole the money and that the reason she wrote and signed the statement without question was because she was anxious to meet someone from the actual corporate office. You know, the world is all about her, so she can't get a break. We simply began hanging up on her after saying, "I'm sorry, I cannot discuss the issue. Please contact Bill at blank number as it is his case." About a month after her termination, several other staff members became enraged and confronted the store manager, accusing her of violating their privacy and betraying their trust, among other things. Sue responded to these individuals on Facebook, telling them to watch their backs because they were next and that cameras were now all over the store waiting for us to make a mistake after she was fired and was evidently not going to get her job back. This led to an employee meeting where the most basic information about her termination, that is, that she stole, got fired, and is a bitter bee, was revealed. The conclusion: I needed more information as the shipping and receiving manager so I could better direct staff inquiries if they came to me. So I understood the whole tale. Alright, fast forward once more. After about another month, the store manager gets a call. I believe I identify the whiny, nasal voice of the bee, but I do my bit and ask nicely for a name to give the manager before I transfer the call. I'm told arrogantly, "Tell her it's M.S. Sultry Susan." Alright, so I apologize and tell her that the store manager reported her missing that day. We anticipate having her back before the end of the month, but we can't guarantee it. She hung up on me. Such sorrow. I receive a second call a few minutes later, this time from the local police department who's requesting the store manager. After 20 minutes, the manager answers the phone, appearing as though he's about to kill someone. I do not lie when I say that I leap behind a pallet of boxes. She gets enraged. She goes into a rage. Sue has reportedly been evading the police and has never turned herself in. After being subdued by the case officer, she exclaims, "Everything's been figured out. I have a payment plan with, and they have removed every charge. Inquire with them." I pick up when the phone rings once more. Sue's here, and she's desperate to speak with the store manager. I turn to face the store manager, who's standing beside me and still appears to be prepared to annihilate anyone who stands in her way. I then give her the phone. Sue was phoning to ask the store manager to corroborate her account and lie to the police. The manager told Sue, I wish I could recall exactly what she said, that she hoped Sue received the maximum sentence possible for everything and that she should never call the store, her cell phone, or email her again, or else she would file charges of harassment. The manager then hung up. When I answer the phone when it rings again, it's Sue demanding to speak with the manager once more. As the lone key holder remaining, I gotta say, this is the manager, how can I help you? And by now, I'm beaming from ear to ear because the store manager had left. The calls persisted for a while before ending altogether. I wonder if she's a girlfriend of someone and if she's currently incarcerated. I mean, I'm kind of a bee that way, but she deserves it. What is the silliest or the most crazy thing your HOA board or neighbors have ever done? Part 3. I lived in a condo that I bought for 15 months. I had never owned a homeowner before. It turns out that you actually only own a portion of the condo association, if that makes sense. You also only have inside condo insurance, which may indicate that you don't actually own the condo's external structure. Everything is perplexing and annoying. Since it was trash day the following day, and I knew I wouldn't get home until late in the evening, I put out my trash that evening and headed wherever I was going. When I return home the following evening, I find a trash bag at my front door along with a note explaining that I broke the rules by leaving my trash outside the day before pickup and that I would have my water turned off if I did it again. Then I had to ask permission to put up a satellite dish and was denied, even if I set it up on my back patio, within my patio, still denied. I then keep getting notices to go vote on the silliest things posted on my door. I never participated in a meeting or cast a ballot. All a condo is an apartment that you pay rent to. You never truly own it, and you are still subject to a landlord who controls the neighborhood, polices it, and requires your permission before doing anything. I never really finished sort of unpacking before I sold it for zero gain, even though I was there for 15 months. 8 of those were spent working abroad. I left without having gained or lost any money. All I was happy to get out of that nonsense. Oh, and the HOA dues were raised twice during my 15 months there, so they can arbitrarily increase the fees on you anytime they see fit. So even if you paid the condo off, you still have a monthly bill that'll steadily increase over time, and that bill brings nothing but aggravation. F that. On this street with an HOA, I skateboard back and forth. I don't live in the HOA neighborhood. The HOA apparently doesn't allow skateboarding, bikes, and other activities because there's safety or some other nonsense. My friends and I didn't know this, and we were skateboarding through the HOA neighborhood as usual when someone, who I think is an HOA board member or president, yelled at me and said he was gonna fine me for skateboarding. I told him, yeah, whatever, and I skated past him while he was yelling at me. That's when I found out it was against the rules there. He must have thought I lived in the area. As a result of the fact that I couldn't really give an S less of a concern, I continued to skateboard. I took a break on the curb and drank some water. Then he came up to us and told us that he had warned us before and that skateboarding would have serious consequences. I told him to be quiet and leave us alone. His question, what house do you live in? I told him it was none of his business and that he should F off and leave us alone. I told him no when he tried to take my skateboard. He ended up tripping on the curb and falling on the lawn. We laughed our A's off, and a bystander said we were so rude, and they'll be talking to our parents about it, and she asked us what house we live in. I told her it wasn't her business. To record us, she took out her phone. This made me think it was time for us to leave, so we did. My friend Samuel lives in the HOA neighborhood, and he told us there has been a lot of talk about it, and there was a meeting and a bunch of emails and drama on Nextdoor over this. The kids who were involved with us still don't know that they don't live in that neighborhood. We still skateboard around that area. The last 3 times we did it, no one saw us or did anything. I'm pretty sure we're going to have problems. I believe it's a public road, so they can't do anything. Recently, my HOA composed an anthem. Yes, a national anthem, just for the HOA. It's some of the craziest stuff I've ever heard, and they paid for a professional choir to sing it with HOA funds. We talked about this subject at the most recent HOA meeting. The HOA board asked us to stand up for the anthem at the start of the meeting, but we refused. Then, as the anthem began to play, everyone was standing with their hands on their hearts, just like during the national anthem. Half of us stood up, and the other half said, "What the H is this S?" Half of us were laughing, and the other half was like, "What the F is this S? This is ridiculous. I'm not standing up for an HOA anthem." The board of the HOA becomes enraged and yells at us, saying that we should be acting more like a community and disrespecting our fine establishment and the amount of work that goes into it. I told the HOA president to stop talking so fat and that I would only ever stand for our national anthem. The topic shifted, and the majority of the neighborhood and I got into a furious argument because we felt that our HOA funds had been misused to produce this garbage song. Later, we received a notice that there would be harsh consequences if we did not stand up to the HOA anthem during events. I replied to the email using Respond All and said, I refuse to stand up for your BS anthem. The only anthem that should matter is the American national anthem. You cannot force us to do as that is a violation of our First Amendment right. So now shut the F up about this or I will be getting a lawyer involved. He responds by threatening to take us to court if we continue to act in such a vulgar manner. No way. I've decided I'm not gonna obey them. It was time to take that power away from them. I got together with some neighbors who didn't support the whole anthem thing either, and at the next meeting, we raised the issue of disbanding the old board and electing a new one. The reason was that it was a waste of funds. I even got my good friend the lawyer involved. We presented everything in such a way that even those who were not originally against the anthem sided with us and voted against the old board. They lost. Elections are coming up soon, and I intend to make sure that none of the former board members are elected again. Update, congratulate me, we have an adequate new board that's against HOA anthems and other impractical nonsense. If you want to watch the part 2, click the link here. We're very glad to see you all in the comments again. Many thanks for your support.